And our top focus in this edition, a massive 7.7 earthquake which had its epicenter in Myanmar, jolted Thailand and parts of China as well. A 30-story skyscraper under construction for government offices, in fact, collapsed in Bangkok, trapping 43 workers. That's the latest coming in at this point. As we continue to monitor the latest from on the ground, these images also suggesting severe devastation. The building in the north of the Thai capital, in fact, was reduced to a tangle of rubble and twisted metal in seconds after the earthquake. In the latest, the Thai Prime Minister had interrupted an official visit to the southern island of Phuket to hold an urgent meeting. In fact, residents in the capital, Bangkok, running into the streets as buildings shook. The Thai Prime Minister has declared a state of emergency now in Bangkok after the earthquake. Listen into this reaction.
Well, this was an absolutely huge shock here. I was sitting at home and then I heard what sounded like ticking, and I thought maybe it was the washing machine, but I got up to have a look and the washing machine wasn't on, and it was then that I realized that I was swaying and I was becoming dizzy. And then I heard people shouting and it became clear what it was. So as you can see around me, even now, it's probably 45 minutes on from what happened. People are still out here. These are shop workers, restaurant workers, people from condos, residents, and nobody knows what's going on. No one really wants to go back in, not sure if the buildings are even safe. It went on for, it must have been 5 minutes, perhaps. It felt like it. And I'm still quite shaken by it. I mean, I've been in Bangkok nearly 30 years now. We've had aftershocks before from events in say, Myanmar, but I've never known one as big as this.
The earthquake rocked central Myanmar, buckling roads in the capital. In fact, the 7.7 magnitude tremor hit northwest of the city of Sagaing at a shallow depth. The United States Geological Survey saying a 6.4 magnitude aftershock hit the same area minutes later. That's as per the details that have emerged. In fact, chunks of ceilings fell from buildings and roads. A sprawling purpose-built city there with highways up to 20 lanes wide. Tremors from a strong earthquake that hit Myanmar felt in China's southwest Yunnan province as well. Tremors also felt in India's northeast, West Bengal, Bihar, UP, Delhi, NCR. Those are the latest details that are emerging at this point as a result of that massive earthquake. The 7.7 magnitude earthquake at a depth of 10 kilometers, that's approximately 6.2 miles, that struck central Myanmar. The epicenter was 16 kilometers northwest of the city of Sagaing at a depth of 10 kilometers, according to the U.S. Geological Survey. In fact, the epicenter was about 17.2 kilometers from the city of Mandalay, which is Myanmar's second largest, just to give you a sense of perspective of the location as well. Let's go straight across now and get you some reactions coming in at this point. For the latest, we are being joined by Phil Robertson from Bangkok. He's the director at Asia Human Rights and Labour Advocates. Thanks very much for being here. Your reaction first. What are the latest details that you have at this point? Where were you when the earthquake struck?
So I was in central Bangkok when this was taking place. You know, there was panic, many people running into the streets. The Thai people have very little experience with major earthquakes like this. So I think there's been a lot of panic and concern. But, you know, I think other than that major building collapse where there's many workers who are missing still, and that's a major tragedy, mostly we're seeing just small damage from various different buildings. I mean, I think the real story is going to be in Myanmar, where there has been this earthquake hit right at the time when many people were in mosques praying, and so I think there's been major loss of life in Myanmar and a major disaster in the middle of a country that's already in civil war.
Right. If you can also give us a sense of the steps being taken by the authorities immediately.
Well, here in Bangkok, the authorities are basically, urging caution. They have, of course, announced the state of emergency. And, you know, we, like everybody else in Bangkok, are waiting to get the all clear to go back into buildings. There's a lot of fear of aftershocks here. Many of the buildings are not really equipped to withstand major earthquakes. So there's a lot of fear about that. But so far, we've not seen that much damage except for that major building collapse in Chatuchak in northern Bangkok.
Right, you're also saying that the people there are not really used to something like this. So tell us a little bit more about what you saw around you and what you've heard from those around you so far.
Well, right now, you can see behind me, I live in a condominium. There's several condominiums on the street. All the residents are out. There's an international school here. All the children are out in the street. People are drinking water, trying to stay hydrated. People are talking on the phone, trying to find out where people are, their loved ones are. Earlier I was near several office buildings where the entire offices were out, and there were decisions being made by office managers about whether to send everybody home or not. So right now everybody's waiting. Everybody's standing out on the street across Bangkok, waiting for an all clear to be able to go back into buildings and see what damage has been done. But certainly I know in my condominium, there's been some concrete that's fallen inside. Some fell in a playground. Fortunately, none of the children were there. So, I mean, there certainly is damage taking place in some of these buildings, and, people need to be sure that it's safe before people go back in.
Right. If you can also tell us a bit more about the kind of construction in your area overall in the country, given the fact that you're telling us that what the history has looked like for the people there.
Well, the building that collapsed was a government building that was being constructed. It was 30 stories for one of the land offices of the Thai government. It's quite clear that building collapsed in its entirety. I believe that any workers who were actually on the building site, inside the building, have probably not survived. The entire building just came down and collapsed all over itself. And so, I think there's going to need to be an assessment across Bangkok whether other buildings that are under construction are still structurally sound, or whether they'll have to be revised or taken down. That's something I think that is coming in the days ahead, and something that the Thai government is going to have to concentrate on. They're also going to have to concentrate about how they're building buildings here. No one thought we could get a big earthquake like this, although it, of course, was in Myanmar. But the impacts were felt, across the Northeast. I got phone calls from people 4 or 5 hours drive away from Bangkok saying that they had felt the earthquake. So it is quite clear that this was a major earthquake that was felt all across the country.
Right. Requesting you to just stay on with us as we piece together the reactions and the latest developments emerging at this point. Let's also tell our viewers about this statement put out by the Indian Prime Minister on the platform X. I'm quoting from it. Concerned by the situation in the wake of the earthquake in Myanmar and Thailand, praying for the safety and well-being of everyone, India stands ready to offer all possible assistance. In this regard, asked our authorities to be on standby. Also asked the MEA, the Ministry of External Affairs, to remain in touch with the governments of Myanmar and Thailand. So that in itself, the statement of the Indian Prime Minister, gives you a sense of the efforts that are being made in the aftermath of this massive 7.7 magnitude earthquake, which had its epicenter in Myanmar. If you're just joining us, these are the latest images that we have from you, suggesting what the devastation and the scenes have looked like from on the ground in different parts. We're telling you what the aftermath has looked like. Remember, the 7.7 magnitude earthquake had its epicenter in Myanmar. It also jolted Thailand and parts of China. In fact, the impact also being felt in India, like we just told you. A 30-story skyscraper under construction for government offices collapsed in Bangkok, trapping 43 workers. And as we were just discussing with Phil there as well, this was an under construction building, and we are awaiting further details from on the site as well. Now, this building in the north of the Thai capital was reduced to rubble. In fact, the Thai Prime Minister interrupted an official visit to the southern island of Phuket to hold an urgent meeting in the aftermath of the earthquake, and the residents in the capital Bangkok were seen running into the streets, a state of panic as the buildings shook. The Thai Prime Minister now in the latest has declared a state of emergency in Bangkok following the earthquake. If you're just joining us, we're telling you about the aftermath of this earthquake in different parts and how the scenes have emerged, not just in Myanmar, where the earthquake struck at the depth of 10 kilometers, striking central Myanmar, but in different parts. Remember, the epicenter was 16 kilometers northwest of the city of Sagaing. This was also at a depth of 10 kilometers, according to the U.S. Geological Survey.